the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Ask the Experts show with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Enjoy being educated in such topics as personal injury law, community association law, family law, bankruptcy law, along with health show topics like pain management, men's health, and dental implants. Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Yes, this is the Ask the Expert show. We are live today. This is not taped. We're live on Money Talk 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, 103.9 FM, and 96.9 FM. Who can give you 4 stations in this town? Same show. I got to tell you, I went in the grocery store today and I was shocked at Publix how many people were not wearing masks. I'm in Broward, and it's a law now. You've got to wear a mask. And it was just, I cannot believe all the people who don't care at all. And there's no excuse for not getting a mask. Now you can find masks all over the place. I want to welcome today's show. Our first show is going to be on business law. And I got to tell you, we have gotten so many texts and emails from people with questions. That's not good. That means the government's not communicating properly. But who else would we rather have on is the expert attorney, Marlon Weiner. Hi, Marlon.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing good. I mean, I'm kind of starting to get used to this, and we are actually, and I didn't tell you this because I didn't know if it would work or not, but Freddie Santori is a genius. We are streaming right now on Ask the Experts Facebook page.
Okay.
I'm on live. We've got your logo up. We're going to be putting your phone number up there.
Okay.
And it really works well. So
Sounds great.
Yeah, next month we will be doing this. I got to tell you, I cannot believe how many people responded when they heard you were going to be on today.
Oh, that's great to hear. It may just be that there is a lot of anxiety out there. It's probably a direct reflection of that.
Well, most of the questions,
times.
Marlon, most of the questions are people don't understand what is taking so long after they, give the bank their papers. And I'm wondering if people shouldn't you be doing it through your own bank?
Well, I'll tell you what I have heard from bankers, and I've also heard from clients who've applied to their banks. This is what I'm hearing. Couple of things. When people went to make their applications, banks turned them away if they didn't have existing relationships with the banks. So if you didn't already have some kind of lending relationship with the bank, they didn't want to deal with you. They didn't want a new customer. So that was a very big challenge. And there was also only a certain amount of money allotted in this initial program. So people were trying to find a bank that would work with them. By the time they might find a bank, there wasn't any money left. So that's been a challenge for businesses. Then I spoke with people who actually work at the banks. The banks didn't hire any new personnel to handle these programs. So they're trying to grab people from different departments to now bring them over to work on these new programs. So it's a challenge just from an administrative standpoint on the bank side. How do we ramp up and administer all of these new loans? They weren't planning for them. So, it's creating, an infrastructure that didn't exist before.
Well,
so
I got to tell you.
It's not easy.
A lot of the question, Marlon, that we got, a lot of people ask the same question. If these business owners have to pay their employees, even though they're not working, to stay on staff, how are they going to have enough money to open up?
That is the great question, because it's really a conundrum for the business owner, and a lot of business owners have made a calculation that it's better for their employees to go on unemployment than the business owner to take a loan to pay payroll for a business that's not open, that's not generating revenue. To use these loans for a payroll between now and the end of June when you can't be open for business. You question whether that really makes sense for a business owner, and then to be obligated to repay it, where that employee could be, served, maybe not better served, maybe better served, depends on their compensation, on unemployment. So it's really a challenge to figure out what is, the best route for a business owner. I spoke with a very dear friend of mine who, had to lay off a large part of his staff. And what he said is, I don't need this money now. I need this when I'm ready to reopen.
Right.
That's when I need the money. Okay? When they tell me that we can reopen and safely, I need the money then. I don't need it right now. Let me get open. That's when I need money.
Marlon, I guess I'm just mind-boggled. How are we going to reopen the economy? I mean, you can tell people they can now go to a baseball game. Who's going to want to go? Or you can tell people you can now go into a restaurant. Who's going to want to go?
It's not going to be easy to get people to, go back. I'm not sure when we go back to the way it was, and if it ever goes back to the way it was. It's obviously when we get to the point where we have a vaccine that's a trustworthy vaccine, I mean, that's a game changer. But
right.
Between now and then, I think we're going to be taking very slow steps, to be able to, start businesses reopening. And it may not be those kind of, big public, venues that we would all love to be able to enjoy again. I don't think that's the first thing that's going to reopen.
I feel sorry for restaurants.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Because, the hospitality industry is one of our largest industries throughout the country. And they have been, decimated by this. Hotels, restaurants, bars, Disney, you know what I mean? Everything up in Orlando. It's awful. And I don't know how this, comes back. It's slow. And we kind of got to have to test it little by little and see how we do.
Well, you also handle real estate law too, but today we're doing business law. What kind of questions are you getting from your clients in regards to business?
Well, the kind of things that we've been talking about, what should I do? Can I work something out, with my landlord about paying rent during this, time when I can't be open? That's a very big question from business owners. What about negotiating, payment plans with my vendors? Most businesses have, accounts payable out there. On the flip side, a lot of businesses have accounts receivable, and they're being, finding it real challenging to collect money from the businesses that owe them money. You know what I mean? So, they owe money, people owe them money.
Right.
So they have, those same challenges. So, they're dealing with those issues. So that's a problem. I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, but I suspect that many businesses, unfortunately, are going to find themselves going down that road. That, second half of 2020, that we are, sadly going to see a lot of businesses have to file bankruptcy. It's going to be very difficult for many businesses to get reopened.
Here's an interesting question. I just got a text from a listener who wants to know, what is the difference between a business law attorney and an employment law attorney?
Good question. I mean, I think there is some crossover, but an employment law attorney, in my view, is somebody who has a very specific area of expertise, typically dealing with employment law matters, very specific to the laws that govern employment. We'll have different laws at the federal level. We have laws at the state level that sometimes depend on the number of employees that you have, dealing with benefits that you might be required to provide depending on the number of employees that you have, ability to fire, hire, all fall into the range of employment law. And the larger number of employees an employer has, the more regulations they are subject to.
Okay, we're going to go to a break. We are live streaming right now. You can go to Ask the Experts Facebook. We're on the phone with attorney Marlon Weiner, who is a real estate attorney and a business law attorney. And, whenever you have, I guess, product that's going back and forth, there's fraud that happens. And I have been hearing, in fact, the FBI just busted a ring of fraud for face masks that were never going to be delivered. They beat them before the hospital sent them money. So we're going to talk about fraud.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Give everybody your phone number, Marlon.
Sure. It's 561-443-7124.
And that number is also on the screen if you're watching. We're going to go to break. We'll be right back with attorney Marlon Weiner.
Thank you.
The law firm of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law, business transaction, and acting as a title and closing agent. Attorney Weiner combines over 30 years of solid real estate and business law expertise with understanding and compassion for her clients' needs. Attorney Marlon Weiner works with homeowners and local and foreign real estate investors who are buying and selling Florida real estate. She assists with deed transfers, residential and commercial sales and leases, title insurance, first-time home buying, and loan closings. Whether you are buying or selling residential or commercial real estate, you need sound legal advice. The law office of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, can help. To schedule a consultation, please call 561-443-7124.
And we are back. This is the Ask the Expert Show. I'm host Steve-O. We're here with attorney Marlon Weiner. She handles real estate law, and she also handles business law here in South Florida with two offices, one right here in Boca Raton and her other office in Aventura, but she covers all of South Florida. So I heard about this. The FBI busted this guy who was getting ready to get like $200,000 from a hospital with masks, and they caught this guy. I am sure there's going to be a lot of fraud going on out there. What do businesses do to protect themselves?
I had suggested that as a topic for us to discuss just because I usually bring up things that have happened in my practice as topics. And recently I had a client. I was involved in the sale of their business. We had a nice, successful sale of the business. And afterwards, the client called me to tell me that he had discovered after closing that a key employee had actually stolen money from the business for several years. And he was not aware of it. Found it by digging into financial statements and, bank statements. And it usually comes down to observing, being aware, asking questions, watching. And often you get a tip from another employee or even a vendor that something is going on. When, management or owners don't watch carefully, that's when things seem to happen. So it's having very good internal controls over money, over reporting.
Also, I guess, is the forensics come in to play when you have a business?
Well, certainly if you think something's happening, you know what I mean, you might bring in an accounting firm to audit, to check what's going on. Certainly you'd want to be working closely with your own accountants if you have some inkling that there's a problem. But I think, if you give somebody control over check signing, for example, ability to sign checks, ability to make deposits, to make withdrawals, whenever somebody has the ability to deal with dollars, there is always a potential for fraud, risk. There's a risk there. And so I think business owners always have to watch those opportunities. You know what I mean? There's an opportunity for theft and for fraud. And this client, it was terrible to find out. It's not the only area where businesses, find, they could be the subject of fraud. Very big issue that we find, and this, rolls over into the real estate area, is wire fraud. This has just grown in the last 5 to 10 years. We do tremendous amount of our real estate transactions involve the wiring of funds from one firm to another, from one bank to another. And this has been a great area of fraud. People hacking into accounts, into our email accounts, and obtaining our wire instructions and converting them and passing them on to whoever was supposed to get our wire instructions. Delivering fake instructions to title and closing agents. I mean, the list goes on. And there are many law firms and title agents who have been the subject of wire fraud. Being as careful as they are, there are criminals out there that are taking advantage.
I got to tell you, I got hit myself, and I cannot believe that our FBI or Secret Service cannot do anything. They hit me, and they hit businesses, and they take over your computer.
Yeah.
I mean, everything.
Yeah.
And
well,
they want to, it's called ransom.
Correct.
And they wanted me to pay them $2,000 or I would never see all my stuff again.
Right. Yep. That's another type of fraud or criminal, internet activity. And that has happened not just to individuals and to businesses, it's happened to municipalities. They have.
I know. I heard a hospital that I'm surprised they didn't have backup, because that was my problem. And I learned my lesson. But a hospital didn't have backup, and they wanted $40,000 from them.
Yeah. So, there's all sorts of crazy things that happen. But recently, I was involved in a transaction. I sent wire instructions to a realtor who was giving it to his client. He was transferring a deposit to me. He called me. He said, "Did you send me wire instructions this morning?" I said, "No, I did not." Somebody had hacked into his email account and found, the email chain of our basically our email about our transaction, and had created a fake set of wire instructions, that would appear to have come from my firm, and sent it to him to, get him to send a deposit to this fake account. This is the kind of crazy thing that happens. It happens to attorneys. It happens to accountants. It happens to business people. So, we all have to be very aware and to double check, triple check. Anytime you're initiating a wire or you're asking people to wire you funds, make sure you call, you verify the wire instructions. Make sure you tell others to call and check with you to make sure that they've got accurate instructions. because the banks don't have liability for this. We're responsible if there's, a wire fraud.
I want to bounce something off of you
Sure.
that I've been thinking about for a long time, well, last 3 or 4 weeks. So you've got two things that you can do, and I'm just going to use my business as an example. We're in 8 cities.
Mm-hmm.
I could just sit around and watch Fox News all day and not do anything because telling myself, well, no one's going to do business. I have been working 12 hours a day, 12. And my fiance gets upset with me. She said, no one's going to be doing business now. I got to tell you that if you just sit back and don't do anything, I promise you'll do no business. And I wanted to use real estate agents. There's so many things that you can do through social media that aren't expensive. You just have to get creative. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that you can do out there that hardly cost any money at all. But if you don't do anything, you are going to not survive.
Nothing happens. The real estate market, transactions are closing, okay? And deals are going under contract. I'm not going to say it's the volume that we like to see. But, there is still life out there in the market. We just don't know, what's going to happen next. But, I think, we didn't fall off the planet yet.
Yes.
We will come back. And I still think it's an opportunity for everybody to, take a deep breath. And you're right. You have to keep working. You know what I mean? You don't give up. It's certainly a time for folks if they're not super active in what they do. It's a time to network. It's a time to organize.
Yes.
It's a time to market. And again, you're right, to get creative.
Not everything is expensive out there. Marlon, before we go, I want to get some of these questions in. Here's Jack from Boca wants to know, what happens if I get turned down by this government loan process? Where else can I go?
For money?
Yes.
If the government loans are not available, I think what he needs to look at is working directly with anybody that he owes money, okay, to, basically work out, work out his overhead, work out his expenses. So he's got to try to, if he can't bring in money through a loan, he's got to try to reduce overhead through, making an arrangement with his landlord, working out on his payables. Also looking into alternative financing, which might be pricey, but there might be, private money lenders out there who might be available. Also, if he has any other assets, is there a home equity loan? You've got to stare down what are your other assets. Is it a time to maybe take out some of your retirement savings? You've got to weigh out, am I looking to save my business? How bad do I want to save my business? And, what else can I bring to the table to do that?
Oh, those are some great ideas.
Yeah.
It's really amazing how many questions we got. I'll bet you there's 10 or 11 questions here here's a lady with a beauty salon business, and, she's worried that how will people, even if they reopen, how will her customers even want to come back, now? And she's right. That's what everybody's afraid of. Even though they open, what are they opening to?
Right. Exactly. With that business, and I think that's one where your suggestion about creativity, I think that is what's critical. With that business, I think creativity is going to be key. I think you've got to be, if that was my business, I'm thinking of creative ways from a physical standpoint. how can I set up a safe space in my business that I could conduct it? You know, and really think of it. How do I make a safe space cubicle, maybe, that you know, we could provide, you know what I mean, services in a salon? Is there a way to do that? You know, who in the industry is working on something like that? They're putting up these, you know, shields in the supermarkets. What can we do in beauty salons? What can we do in nail salons? There's got to be something, okay, that can be created to develop some safe spaces.
You sound like Barbara Cochran on Shark Tank.
But, I mean, that would be my thought. If I own one, that's what I'd be thinking of. You know, I mean, what can I do? And what can I do to disinfect that space, you know, on a daily basis or several times a day that customers are going to feel confident?
Marlon, give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Sure, 561-443-7124, and the website is mwfloridalaw.com.
And Marlon will be back again next month with her real estate show. Boy, I can't wait for that, and her business show. Thank you so much, and I hope Jay feels better.
Thanks. Good to talk to you, Steve.
Good talking to you. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we've got our air conditioning show.
The law firm of Marlon J. Weiner, PA, is a small, focused South Florida law firm delivering high-quality legal services in a personal way. Her firm concentrates on real estate law,